Arisu has everything money can buy, yet his life is hollow and lonely, and his only comfort is a mysterious late-night school radio show hosted by a girl called Apollo, until one night she vanishes without a trace. Unable to let go, Arisu sets out to find her. The story begins at Furin High School, which has recently changed from an all-boys school into a co-ed institution. The homeroom teacher nervously announces the change, admitting that the transition may be awkward at first, but expressing hope that everyone will learn to get along. Suddenly, Arisu stands up. He bluntly points out the awkward pauses the teacher is taking and demands that the announcement be redone properly, shocking all. Regaining his composure, the teacher deflects the moment and tells Arisu to introduce himself first. Seizing the opportunity without hesitation, Arisu proudly announces himself as the heir to the powerful Yamabuki group, declaring that he is a man destined to carry Japan into the future, boasting with exaggerated confidence that he is already 99% perfect and that, in order to reach absolute perfection, he needs all the girls in the class to tell him they love him. Later, several boys corner Arisu and accuse him of driving away all the girls with his outrageous behavior, but he remains completely unfazed and calmly responds that adversity is what builds character. At that moment, a girl approaches him and frankly admits that she knows the Yamabuki group is extremely wealthy, and that, because of that, she wants to become his girlfriend, prompting Arisu to stand, ask her to whisper something into his ear, and then casually dismiss her after listening, excusing himself under the pretense of going to the restroom. Arisu wanders from classroom to classroom, hoping to finally encounter the girl he seeks. But after failing yet again, he recalls his bleak past when his only reason to keep living is a late-night radio show hosted by a girl who calls herself Apollo. Every night he listens to her voice, imagining an ideal love story unfolding between them, until suddenly a girl sneaks up behind him in the present and whispers, "I love you," into his ear, causing his body to react instinctively. Shocked, Arisu demands to know who she is, but the girl only teasingly reminds him that break time is almost over, and that he never actually went to the restroom, leaving him standing there in confusion. Later, in the cafeteria, Arisu finds himself unable to stop thinking about the girl, whose voice sounds eerily similar to Apollo's, though he convinces himself that he cannot be certain because she caught him at an unfortunate moment. Just then, a girl's voice echoes through the school intercom, and the instant Arisu hears it, he bolts toward the broadcasting room. As he runs, memories of Apollo flood his mind, and he wonders if she might be closer than he ever imagined, recalling how he is once her only listener, how they speak regularly through her show, Midnight Heart Tune, and how close they become, despite never meeting. She often talks about her desire to attend an all-girls school, and after her sudden disappearance from the internet, Arisu gathers every detail from their conversations, realizes she is the same age as him, and deduces that she wants to attend an all-girls school near the ocean, which leads him to discover that only Furin fits those conditions and ultimately enroll there in hopes of getting closer to her. Standing before the broadcasting room door in the present, Arisu takes a deep breath, fully convinced that Apollo is waiting for him on the other side, and that meeting her will finally make him feel whole again. Instead, when he opens the door, he is greeted by 4 girls, forcing him to quickly compose himself, as he explains that he wants to ask them something, only to be immediately scolded for barging in without warning. He apologizes at once, but his gaze lingers on the girls as he notices that each of their voices bears a resemblance to Apollo's, leaving him stunned. One of them, Rika, casually asks if he is also aiming to go professional, which only confuses Arisu further, until Nini snaps at him for being clueless. Finally, Iko explains that they are members of the broadcasting club, all of whom aspire to build careers using their voices. While Shinobu reveals her ambition to become a news announcer, Iko declares her goal of becoming a VTuber. Nene announces her dream of becoming a voice actress, and Rika states that she wants to be a singer, leaving Arisu standing there as he takes in the unexpected complication before him. Jokingly, Shinobu mentions that she has already heard rumors about the strange classroom speech of Arisu in which he demands a lover, and before he can properly explain himself, Nene suddenly lashes out physically, calling him a complete creep and a degenerate while openly accusing him of having disgusting intentions. Deeply offended, Arisu sharply clarifies that he is not acting out of lust or obsession, and that he is simply searching for someone important to him. But his words are immediately misunderstood when Iko pulls up her VTuber character on a screen and assumes he must have come to see her specifically. But when Arisu firmly denies this, Rika steps forward and assumes instead that he is there for her, which only increases his irritation as he finally raises his voice and states clearly that he has no ulterior motives toward any of them, and that all he wants is to find Apollo. The girls exchange confused looks and ask what an Apollo even is, which shocks Arisu deeply because he is completely convinced that Apollo must be one of them. Then, it suddenly occurs to Arisu that Apollo may be deliberately hiding her identity, causing him to regret mentioning her so directly, and decide that he will have better opportunities to investigate later without drawing suspicion. He turns to leave, but the girls coldly stop him and tell him never to show his face in the broadcasting club again, because outsiders are not allowed, which triggers a memory of Apollo telling him that she wants to pursue a career using her voice. Acting quickly, Arisu proposes a deal, offering to provide them with new, high-end equipment that will drastically improve their sound quality if they allow him to remain in the club. Finding the offer impossible to refuse, the girls agree, and to show their gratitude, they collectively lean in and whisper, "I love you," into his ear. Those words send Arisu spiraling as they remind him of the moment when he once confessed his feelings to Apollo, and the memory overwhelms him enough that he panics and rushes out of the room. Soon as he regains his composure, he reminds himself that he is no longer a naive child, and resolves to find Apollo not out of romance, but to ensure that she can never use their past connection to blackmail him once he inherits the Yamabuki group. The following day, Arisu decides to carefully observe the broadcasting club members and gather detailed notes on each of them. And when he enters the club room early in the morning, he finds only Shinobu, who explains that she arrives ahead of everyone else to practice because she tends to make mistakes during broadcasts. As Arisu attempts to speak, she silences him and immediately prepares for the morning announcement, prompting him to watch closely while reviewing the information he has gathered on her. Shinobu is a flawless student on paper, serving as vice president of the student council and admired by nearly everyone at school, and just hearing her calm, refined voice causes Arisu to briefly believe that she might truly be perfect, until she suddenly becomes tongue-tied on air and stumbles over her words. The mistake frustrates Arisu so much that he scolds her without realizing the microphone is still live, unintentionally broadcasting his criticism to the entire school. Later, outside the club room, Arisu notices Nene surrounded by classmates who eagerly ask her about the latest volume of a manga titled Lily, and when she excitedly confirms that she owns it, Arisu remembers that Apollo also loves the same series. Observing Nene more closely, he notes that she enjoys cosplay and is popular with everyone, and as she begins voice acting a scene from the manga, he finds himself captivated until she completely botches her lines, making him briefly wonder if something is wrong with her ability. When Nene notices Arisu staring, she loudly tells her friends that he is creeping her out, forcing him to barely escape the resulting angry crowd. At that point, Arisu finally realizes the core issue behind his failure to identify Apollo, understanding that he has only ever heard her voice through a phone, which naturally distorts how it truly sounds. That distortion explains why matching her real voice has been so difficult. Suddenly, Iko sneaks up behind him and startles him so badly that he falls down the stairs, and while shaken, he recalls the information he has collected about her, noting that she serves as the club's technical support and boasts a massive following within the otaku community. When Arisu asks why she is there, Iko casually explains that it is time for her daily stream, quickly setting up her tablet and running a brief 5-second broadcast, which irritates him deeply. Arisu criticizes her lack of dedication and seriousness, but Iko casually counters that her fans do not care about such things. And unwilling to waste energy arguing, Arisu leaves while concluding that everyone in the broadcasting club lacks true commitment, unlike Apollo, who is genuinely determined to pursue a career through her voice. Because of that determination, Arisu once promised himself that he will someday learn proper voice support techniques so that he can help her achieve her dream. Later that day, Shinobu goes live again and performs poorly as usual, and without thinking, Arisu hijacks the microphone and announces that he has had enough of the broadcasting club's mediocrity, declaring that he intends to force everyone to improve. Before he can say anything further, the girls physically throw him out of the club room, Moments later, Arizu receives a notification that leaves him breathless. For the first time in years, Apollo goes live. She admits she cannot reveal her identity, but confesses that she loves him alone, and her voice is clearly coming from the broadcasting room. Arisu keeps wondering why Apollo would be inside the room and still refuse to meet him. For a second, he considers barging back in and demanding to know which of the four girls is the mysterious singer, but he stops himself, deciding that if Apollo wants to stay hidden, he will not act like a desperate creep and force the issue. Instead, he swears to uncover the truth one day, and, until that glorious revelation, he will grind like a maniac to help all four girls achieve their dreams. From the very next morning, he turns into an over-enthusiastic boot camp commander. He drags the girls out for training, preaching that a fit body sharpens the voice. The girls think 6 in the morning is an ungodly hour, especially Iko, whose only real ambition at that moment is inhaling ice cream instead of jogging. Arisu, however, runs backward like some show-off superhero and still moves faster than everyone else. After what feels like a marathon, he declares the session a simple warm-up. Nene snaps that they have known him for only a day and nobody appointed him coach, but Arisu, dripping with arrogance, announces that perfection runs in his veins and therefore only he is worthy of the role. Shinobu tries to calm the rebellion, admitting that the guy might be annoying, but at least he is genuinely trying to help. Otherwise, none of them would have shown up. Rika fires back that each girl has a different dream and wonders how this self-proclaimed genius can judge such separate paths. Arizu doubles down, claiming there is no task on earth he cannot conquer, though he decides that breakfast is more important than arguing. The girls refuse to eat while soaked in sweat, so after showers and fresh clothes, they meet at a restaurant where Arisu hands each of them a notebook stuffed with plans. Iko receives instructions for auditioning at a VTuber agency, Shinobu gets a course outline for becoming a better anchor, and poor Nene is buried under an entire mountain of books to prepare for the level 3 kanji exam. And as for Rika, her mission is to write her own songs, perform on the streets, and sell 50 CDs to build her confidence. She is anything but thrilled and asks whether Arisu has ever even touched an instrument. He proudly admits he has never played a single one, only whistled now and then. Rika explodes, saying a clueless amateur has no right to lecture her about music, but Arisu ignores the meltdown and lectures her about chasing dreams instead of rotting in comfort. When she asks whether he ever gets nervous, he boasts that the Yamabuki family dictionary contains no such word. Rika calls him a massive liar and storms off, leaving Arisu blinking like an abandoned puppy. Nene explains that Rika is genuinely talented at singing and writing lyrics, and having a music-ignorant boy judge her wounds her pride. Shinobu defends Arisu, yet the damage is done. The realization hits him like a truck that Rika thinks he is incapable of learning music. Determined to prove otherwise, he decides to attend her mini-concert at school, which she performs every Wednesday, though she usually avoids her own songs. At the concert, Rika admits she still feels nervous every time, a confession eerily similar to what Apollo used to say. She sings, and her soft voice matches Apollo so perfectly that Arisu forgets the entire reason he came. After the performance, he apologizes for the morning disaster and praises her talent, again pushing the idea of street performances and CD sales. Rika shuts him down, telling him to stay out of her personal life, and vanishes. The next day, Arisu avoids the club entirely, and Rika begins to feel guilty for roasting him too hard. While wandering through school, she notices students yelling at someone outside. To her shock, it is Arisu, clumsily attempting to play guitar in public. She can see from his battered fingers that he practiced all night. She moves beside him to settle the crowd, and they play together. While his performance is painfully awful, exactly what one would expect from a single night of learning, but the courage impresses Rika. Later, she compliments his insane confidence, claiming he truly might never feel nervous, and Rika suddenly hugs him just to test the theory. This time, the fearless warrior actually gets nervous, exposing his bluff. Meanwhile, Nene has become mysteriously busy. Arisu nags her about kanji practice, but she keeps escaping with lame excuses. Shinobu notices the change and points out that whenever Nene lies, her ears turn red, meaning she is not annoyed with Arisu, but simply terrible at asking for help. Arisu follows her to a classroom and discovers her secretly practicing voice acting. He notices that her tone is soft and adorable, like a kitten begging for attention, yet her delivery is emotionless and dull. Arisu criticizes the performance, earning a book to the face and a lecture about manners. He spots the manga she is reading and learns that it is a hugely popular story, soon to receive an adaptation seeking voice artists. The plot revolves around a princess secretly in love with a knight, unable to confess because of her royal status. When the knight dies before her eyes, she cannot even cry openly, so she pretends to wipe dirt from his helmet and steals a hidden kiss as a final goodbye. Nene finds the tale heartbreakingly emotional. Arisu, surprised by her taste, leans in too close and freaks her out. She orders him to leave so she can practice, but he stubbornly stays and begins sharing his own embarrassing memories, including a middle school trip where he shamefully wet the bed, proving that the so-called perfect hero is actually just another chaotic idiot trying way too hard. Arisu continues his parade of shame, confessing that even at the dentist, he once wet his pants, unloading one humiliating memory after another like a broken embarrassment vending machine. Nini finally opens up. She admits that it is not that she refuses to show emotions. She simply cannot feel the character at all. The manga heroine is in love. Without those real feelings, she believes her voice acting will always sound fake. Arisu wastes no time and dramatically drops to one knee, proposing the most ridiculous plan imaginable. She should become his girlfriend for 3 weeks, exactly until the audition date. Nene stares at him like he has escaped from a mental hospital. He explains the strategy with full seriousness. For 3 weeks they will live like the manga couple. He will act as the loyal soldier and she as the delicate princess. Through this fake romance, she will awaken genuine emotions and deliver perfect acting. Nene initially declares she would rather die, but Arisu reminds her that this is for her dream, not his. And since the manga is her favorite, she reluctantly agrees. From that day, the two begin performing love in broad daylight, and the entire school loses its mind. Students gossip about how a princess could fall for a random soldier, mirroring the manga storyline. Arisu and Nene hold hands, stroll around like real lovers, and reenact scene after scene from the book. He lifts her into his arms, copies iconic panels, and basically turns school life into a live-action cringe festival. Nene realizes with horror that the final chapter of the manga ends with a kiss, meaning she might actually have to lock lips with this lunatic after 3 weeks. Days pass as they complete every ridiculous task from the story, boating together, dramatic embraces, endless cheesy dialogues. Finally, the last day arrives, the moment of the legendary kiss. Nene becomes a nervous wreck, wondering if Arisu planned all this just to steal one smooch. Yet, she also knows he is not that kind of guy. Rules are rules, so she even applies lipstick and prepares herself like a soldier marching to doom. When she approaches him for the final scene, Arisu suddenly refuses. Nene is shocked, demanding to know why he is backing out after they practiced everything. Arisu calmly says they have trained enough and that such a moment should be saved for someone she truly loves, not wasted on an experiment. Nene cannot decide whether to scream at him or feel touched. She simply warns that he will regret this day and storms off to the audition. After returning, she reveals the brutal truth: she was rejected. Arisu almost faints, devastated that his supposedly flawless plan collapsed like a cheap plastic chair. Nene explains that neither of them was at fault. The author had already chosen favorites, and the audition was just a formality. Arisu lies down in despair like a dead knight who has lost all hope, and the scene mirrors the ending of the manga perfectly. Seeing this, Nene reenacts the final chapter herself. She bends down and secretly kisses the cover of the book instead of him, just like the princess kissing the knight's helmet so nobody notices. Arisu, however, catches on and grabs her, accusing her of kissing him and teasing that maybe she has fallen in love. Nene turns tomato red and slams him to the ground, screaming that she hates him more than anything. The other girls wisely stay out of the battlefield to avoid becoming collateral damage. Arisu whines that he had no idea she despised him so much, but Shinobu reminds him of one crucial detail. Whenever Nene lies, her ears turn bright red, and right on cue, her ears are glowing crimson, proving that her "I hate you" declaration was nothing but a massive lie. The girls are casually changing clothes inside the broadcasting club room when the door suddenly swings open, and Arisu walks straight in, freezes for a split second, and then does the one thing no sane person would do. With a dead serious expression, he scolds the girls, lecturing them about how they are in high school now and should act responsibly, at the very least remembering to lock the door, because if someone else had walked in, the consequences could have been serious. Rika bristles and asks why he is giving them such a long lecture, but Iko quickly tells her not to question him, or he will only keep talking. Shinobu feels genuinely guilty and apologizes, while Nini points out that Arisu is also at fault for entering without knocking. Arisu responds that this is not a private room but the broadcasting room, and he is a club member, though he still apologizes, admitting that he should have knocked and that seeing them like that means they deserve an apology. The girls are stunned because none of them ever imagined Arisu apologizing to anyone. Classes finally end, with Rika handling the announcement after Shinobu freezes up again and admits her mistake. Rika suggests grabbing something sweet to celebrate, but Arisu shuts it down, claiming he has personal business to handle and telling the 4 girls to go on without him. Rika says she would actually like it if he came along, prompting Arisu to tease that he might consider it if she begged properly. He still bails, while Rika loudly declares she is getting ice cream no matter what. Just as the group is about to leave, Nini suddenly stops everyone and insists they should follow Arisu, arguing that he saw them changing clothes earlier and that it would be beyond humiliating if he ever mentioned it to anyone. She proposes tailing him to catch him in an embarrassing situation, possibly even taking photos if he changes in public. Rika tries to brush it off as a harmless accident, but Nini refuses to let it go. Iko finds the idea hilarious and immediately signs up. Rika too gives in as she wonders what the supposedly perfect Arisu actually does when no one is watching, and Shinobu reluctantly agrees since everyone else is already in. They tail him like amateur spies, whispering and imagining all the embarrassing things he might get caught doing. On the train, Nini thinks she has finally struck gold as she spots him reading what looks like an adult magazine. She eagerly zooms in with her camera, only to realize it is just a book about teaching children. Frustrated that he still has not slipped up even once, Nini starts wondering if Arisu ever makes mistakes at all. The girls then keep following him until he walks into a cafe, where they hurriedly dive under a table to hide before he notices them. From there, they are shocked to see Arisu wearing a waiter's uniform, something none of them expected from someone who constantly talks about being the heir to a wealthy family. They cannot believe he lied, wondering whether he said it only to impress girls. They listen in as Arisu tells the cafe owner he needs extra shifts because he requires money. Even the owner asks why someone rich would work like this, and Arisu replies that his father is wealthy, not him, and that he refuses to rely on his family's money, choosing to earn whatever he needs himself. The owner asks him why he needs so much money, and Arisu explains that he wants to buy audio equipment for the broadcasting room and needs nearly 1 million yen, which stuns the girls, who had assumed he would take money from his father to support their club. The cafe owner questions whether spending that much on a school club is excessive, and Arisu admits it probably is, saying that investing in those 4 girls feels like throwing money into a fire. Yet he believes they have talent even if they are not serious now, and he refuses to give up on them until they achieve their goals, no matter how much lecturing or money it takes. Hearing this, the girls are deeply moved and immediately reveal themselves, startling Arisu as all 4 voices hit him at once. Nini teases him about how cute he looks in an apron and snaps his photos. The following day, Arisu sits alone in the broadcasting room, worried that the girls now know about his forbidden part-time job, which the school does not allow and could get him expelled. Iko suddenly enters, and when Arisu bluntly asks if she is there to blackmail him, she denies it, saying that since she knows his secret, she wants to share one of her own. She locks the door and explains that she has been a VTuber for a long time but feels completely stuck, with her subscriber count no longer increasing. Arisu admits he noticed and points out that viewers seem bored, partly because she often does extremely short streams. However, Iko defends herself by listing everything she does, from karaoke and gaming to cooking and drawing, even revealing that she designed her own character. Arisu explains he has watched all her streams and shows her several clips, pointing out that no matter what she claims to feel, her voice always sounds lifeless, making her avatar seem like nothing more than a talking picture. He suggests trying different models or even 3D, but Iko explains she cannot afford that kind of technology. Arisu tells her to leave everything technical to him and redraw her character with different expressions, warning that in the end she still needs to show real excitement herself. They work together for days until the new model is finished, and when Arisu asks her to smile, Iko insists she cannot express emotions well. He locks the door and starts tickling her, trying everything to make her laugh, and after they both fall to the floor, she finally bursts into genuine laughter. Arisu tells her that it is the smile he wants to see, and so do her fans. At that moment, Shinobu, Nini, and Rika peeked in through the window with a selfie stick, saying they had knocked several times and were worried. But now, seeing them like this, they completely misunderstand the situation. They confront Iko and ask what Arisu did. She panics and blurts out that he touched her and pinned her down, wording that sounds far worse than intended. Nini immediately ties Arisu up, but Iko stops her and thanks Arisu, saying she can finally laugh freely. Arisu advises her to stop faking it and show her real emotions. The next day, Iko goes live with 159 viewers, including students from her school who still do not know it is her. The stream feels no different from before, and Iko nervously explains the new avatar's features without smiling, prompting viewers to complain and accuse her of clickbait as viewership drops rapidly. Panicking, she begs them not to leave, but Arisu steps in and stops the stream, telling her that continuing would only make things worse. He harshly criticizes her, calling her a disappointment and saying she will never achieve her dream, pushing her until she finally snaps and shouts that streaming means everything to her and that she is serious, even if she is afraid to express herself. Shinobu and Nini burst in and reveal that while the video stopped, the audio never did, meaning everything was broadcast live. Iko panics, convinced she is finished, until she sees her viewership jump past 2,000, something that has never happened before. Arisu explains that people like VTubers when they show their real personalities, not when they act perfectly. Iko returns to the stream, smiling and delivers her catchphrase with genuine warmth, driving the chat wild. She ends the stream early because she is still nervous, then later starts a private live stream just for Arisu, thanking him and admitting she knows he deliberately left the audio on to push her into showing her true self. Arisu tells her that her real smile is cuter than any avatar, but at that, her avatar suddenly stops reacting. He wonders why her expressions suddenly disappear again. It turns out she is hiding her face, bright red with embarrassment, because for some reason smiling in front of him feels far harder than smiling for her audience. Days later, Shinobu holds a meeting in the student council room and explains her plans as vice president. She says that since the school is now co-educational, this year's sports festival will be bigger and harder to manage. She urges everyone to work together and tells them to check the notes she prepared. One of the boys asks her, "Everything sounds fine, but why is her photo attached to the papers?" Shinobu freezes when she realizes she accidentally put her own picture in the documents. Another girl says her copy has the same mistake. Shinobu quickly begs them not to tell anyone and promises to fix it. The boys, however, seem happy to have a photo of the school's princess. All day, students keep coming to Shinobu for help with homework, paperwork, and personal problems. And she keeps helping everyone without saying no, and people start to rely on her even more. Later, in the broadcasting room, Shinobu explains what needs to be done for the sports festival: announcements, live commentary, score updates, and more. Rika suggests splitting the work and asks who will do what, including writing the scripts. Nene reminds them that Iko and Rika did the scripts last time, and Iko remembers how badly it went, even missing the tennis match commentary. Shinobu offers to handle the scripts herself. When Rika asks who will manage the scores, Shinobu volunteers again. Before anyone notices, most of the work ends up with her. Nene points out that Shinobu is taking on too much and says they should share the load, but Shinobu brushes it off, saying she managed last year and can do it again. Arisu suggests why the broadcasting club doesn't do something special for the sports festival to give it a boost. Nene jokes about opening a maid cafe, but Arisu shuts it down as unrelated. As more silly ideas come up, Shinobu says she'll handle it and quietly takes on even more work. Later, everyone plans to go out for karaoke, but Shinobu declines because much work awaits her. And Arisu also chooses not to go. He watches her, making her uneasy, then comes to her and says what happens next must stay between them. Shinobu panics and blushes, taking his words the wrong way, until she sees he offers her a throat lozenge and says he hears a change in her voice and thinks her throat is sore. When she asks about the secret, Arisu says sweets are forbidden in the Yamabuki family, and if his family learns he carries candy, they will cast him out, so she must tell no one. Shinobu thinks of how many people came to her all day with their own needs, yet no one noticed her sore throat except Arisu, and she thanks him. He says he notices because he always listens to her voice and watches her, so small changes stand out to him. He asks why she works so much and never leans on others. She explains she wants to be a vice president people can trust and hopes they will praise her hard work. Arisu says she is trying to take all the credit, and though she objects, he tells her she does not have to do everything alone and can rely on others, especially him, and that she does not need to be perfect with him and can treat him as a friend. Just as he turns to leave, Shinobu takes his hand and asks him to help her, saying she will be alone at school that night and would feel safer if he stays. They go to the library to decide what to do, and before they begin, Shinobu asks him to close his eyes until she tells him to open them. Arisu agrees but warns her not to do anything strange, and when she reminds him that he said he trusts her as a friend, then suddenly opens his eyes and sees her about to feed him chocolate. He jumps back and shouts that a Yamabuki never eats chocolate, and Shinobu laughs and says she only wanted to break his rule before eating it herself. She says the student council is stressful and chocolate helps her cope, and she eats much of it in secret because she could be fined if caught. She tells him only he knows this secret and tries to feed him chocolate so he will not tell anyone, but Arisu refuses again. Shinobu says there are only 2 of them, and they have only 1 night to finish everything. Still, Arisu reassures her with confidence, saying she stands before a Yamabuki and that what would take a normal person all night, he will finish quickly. Encouraged, Shinobu admits she has never spoken honestly about her feelings. She compares herself to chocolate, saying that, just as chocolate is made from many ingredients, she is trying to do too much at once and feels she has no clear identity. She says Iko is serious about voice acting. Rika works hard on her singing, and everyone else is moving toward their goals, while she feels she cannot keep up. So instead of chasing her own dreams, she supports theirs. Arisu says he also has noticed she is not serious about her own dream, and reminds her that she once said she wanted to become an anchor, then asks again why she refuses to rely on others. Shinobu explains what happened at last year's sports festival. Nene kept getting names wrong, Iko broke equipment by bumping into things, Rika fell ill and did not come to school, and the event failed. Because of this, Shinobu decided to handle everything by herself this year, and since it is her final year in the broadcasting club, she wants to leave good memories behind. Arisu reacts at once, asking what she means by final year, and she explains she plans to leave the club to focus on her studies because her grades are falling. She says she needs to enter a good university to improve her language skills and become an anchor. Arisu scolds her, saying she has grown weak and needs to be braver. He tells her she does not need to quit the club and can manage both, and he promises to help her with studying, voice training, and everything else she needs to reach her goal, reminding her that he promised never to abandon the 4 of them. Shinobu feels overwhelmed by his words, and Arisu adds that she should never think she is inferior to the others, saying she is just as talented and beautiful, but hides her feelings while the others speak openly. Shinobu blushes deeply and says he is only trying to encourage her, though his words clearly make her happy. When she asks him to keep their talk secret, Arisu breaks a long family rule by eating a piece of chocolate, saying this gives her something to use against him and seals their promise, and Shinobu smiles when she realizes he breaks his rule just for her. Later, the preparations for the sports festival are complete, but one question remains. What will the broadcasting club present? Shinobu offers a strange idea. They will tie 2 cups together with a string, like a toy telephone, and students will come one by one to make confessions through the cups without revealing their identities. The girls are confused at first, but soon grow excited. Sports day arrives, and Arisu rules the field. He wins his races with ease, stuns everyone with his speed, then at once switches roles and gives live commentary after coming in first. Even those who think he only boasts admit he truly is absurdly perfect. Next comes the scavenger hunt, where players draw slips and must bring what is written to the finish line. It is Iko and Rika's turn, and they draw their slips. One says to bring the person they trust most, and the other says to bring the person whose voice they like most. Without pause, both run to Arisu, seize him, and demand he come, for they want to win at any cost. Arisu, unwilling to lose, lifts both girls in his arms and runs for the finish. The crowd gasps and many boys burn with envy, yet they are still too slow and lose. Arisu takes this loss harder than anyone and breaks down, for he has never lost before, even though it is not truly his event. Remembering he has another game lined up, he runs to Shinobu at once and learns that their other two teammates are injured. Shinobu suggests they withdraw, but Arisu refuses, saying a Yamabuki never retreats. The game is a cavalry battle, where 4 form a horse and 1 rides on top, and the aim is to knock off the other rider's headband. Arisu sets Shinobu on his shoulders and declares that the 2 of them are enough. The match begins, and Nini, from the other team, steps in front of Arisu and tells him to move aside. He refuses and says it is his game too. Nini warns him not to look at her or she will remember those days. Shinobu, red with embarrassment, because Arisu is carrying her, has her headband taken and they are out at once. Arisu only grasps it after and loses all heart, for he has now lost twice in one day. Nini's team moves on, but when she looks back, jealousy stirs in her, and she wonders why Shinobu and Arisu are always so close, and what truly lies between them. She scolds herself, saying she has no right to meddle in their lives, and, in her distraction, her team is defeated as well. After a short break of 15 minutes, most events end, and the time comes for the broadcasting club's turn. They reveal their game, a cup and string microphone that lets students speak without showing who they are. Anyone may confess secrets or feelings in this way. Someone says letters would be easier, but Shinobu answers that hearing voices is what gives it meaning, and she has even made posters to spread the word. When asked why this was not announced at assembly, Shinobu explains that she avoided announcing it earlier because the school discourages dating. Nini supports her reasoning, noting that teachers would have shut it down if they had known in advance. At that exact moment, a voice asks if they really think it cannot be stopped. Shinobu freezes in fear, for their supervising teacher, Lemon, stands before them. Lemon asks what they are planning. They explain that it is a confession booth using 2 cups tied with a string, where students can secretly confess their love, and that, through this, the broadcasting club will become famous. Nene admits that school rules forbid relationships, yet says students can still confess their feelings through the club, so the rule is bent rather than openly broken. Lemon refuses, saying the rules are rules and cannot be broken. Rika says she expected that answer, and that Lemon has been negative from the beginning. Lemon replies that she is a teacher, wants things to remain peaceful, and does not want trouble. The others respond that if she wanted such a safe life, she should not have become a teacher, but Lemon does not listen. Then Arisu steps forward and introduces himself as Arisu Yamabuki, offering to explain the plan's benefits. He begins to present his reasoning, but Lemon interrupts him, calling him annoying and arrogant. Arisu is taken aback, for people rarely speak to him so bluntly. Shinobu then pleads with Lemon, asking her to allow it, saying she wants to become an anchor and that this is a rare opportunity. She reminds Lemon of last year, when the whole school looked down on the club after they ruined sports day. This year, everything is running smoothly, and people are enjoying it. If the festival ends well, the benefit will not only be for the club, but also for Lemon. Her name will spread through the school, because her students succeed, and her respect will rise among parents and students. After hearing this, Lemon sits down and tells them to stop standing around and get to work. Nene says how practical and self-serving Lemon is. Once she understands what she gains, she agrees at once. No sooner do they solve one problem than another rises before them: how to spread the flyers. Shinobu suggests throwing them from the window, but Lemon stops her at once and tells them to look outside. Samejima, the PE teacher, stands guard, separating boys and girls and making sure no one gathers. Lemon warns that if they throw even a single flyer and it falls into his hands, the entire plan will collapse. Nene proposes sending a group message, but Rika reminds her that not every student has the club's contact. Then Lemon declares they should leave Samejima to her. She will distract him while the others hand out the flyers, and afterward, they will proceed. Nene questions why Lemon now calls it her plan, when moments ago she stood against it. Lemon goes out to Samejima and suggests he take a short break. The way she speaks makes him agree without hesitation. She keeps him occupied so the others can move quickly. They must gather the students quickly and avoid the other teacher's eyes. Nene gets an idea. She gathers all the girls, When Arisu tries to join, they drive him away, saying, "Boys have no role in this." Nene explains the plan. The girls will cosplay to draw attention. When students approach them out of curiosity, they will hand out the flyers. Everyone agrees except Rika, who feels embarrassed. But Nani insists they do this for Shinobu. At the same time, Lemon runs from Samajima and hides behind Arisu, pleading for help. When the girls spot Samajima nearby, they scatter as well. Amid the confusion, the flyers spread, and no teacher caught on. Next, they settle the matter of privacy. One by one, students will enter a dark room outside the broadcasting room and speak through a wired phone to Shinobu. She will broadcast their words, but no one will know who is speaking. Lunch break begins. Shinobu steadies herself and makes the announcement. During lunch, anyone may come alone to confess a secret or share their feelings with the person they like. Samajima objects at once, declaring that nothing like this will happen while he is present. Yet Lemon returns and calmly persuades him to have lunch with her instead, leading him away and clearing the path for the plan to begin. The confessions begin. A girl enters the dark room and sends her message through the wired phone. Shinobu listens, then reads it aloud to the whole school. The girl confesses to Shindo of Class 2A. She says she has liked him since the day they met. That they are close friends, and that he likely already knows who she is. She asks him to stand if he feels the same. After a brief pause, he rises to his feet. A murmur spreads through the crowd. Even the teachers admit the idea is unusual. No one knows who sent the confession, and though Samajima would never have permitted this, he has unknowingly been led away from stopping it. More students step forward, surprised at how many choose to take part. The room remains dark, so no faces are seen. And one after another, students speak honestly. A boy confesses to a girl, but she gently rejects him because she is already in a relationship. Though he is heartbroken, no one laughs or mocks him. Iko then turns to the girls and asks whether any of them have a confession or even an apology they wish to make. They hesitate, then each admits she does. One by one, the three speak, not to confess love, but to apologize. Though they all speak of the same boy. They say they failed to see how much Arisu works for them, did not give him the respect he deserves, and wish to apologize if given the chance to do so. Everything goes smoothly until Shinobu's microphone suddenly stops working. Her heart drops. But she refuses to let the sports festival be ruined, even if she must shout with her own voice. She says she will inform everyone. She moves to the window, ready to call out across the grounds. But Iko stops her and warns that she will damage her voice, and not everyone will hear her. At that moment, Arisu arrives with a solution, as he so often does. He has stolen Samajima's megaphone. He tells Shinobu that if she wishes to become an anchor, she must stand before everyone and make this day unforgettable. Then he hands her the megaphone. Shinobu hugs him in relief and gratitude, believing everything is about to fall apart, and once again, he has saved her. Arisu tells her he can at least do this much for his crime partner, since they once broke school rules together. More students step forward. Some are accepted, some are rejected, yet each's courage draws cheers. The event nears its end. Then one final message arrives. A girl wishes to confess her love to Arisu Yamabuki. Shinobu steps outside to read it. Arisu notices that this time she does not hesitate. She reads that 3 years ago. Worrying the speaker betrayed a boy who always supported her. She disappeared without saying goodbye, ran away, and broke her promise. She feared he would be angry when they met again. Yet even so, he searched for her and helped her reach her dream. The message ends with the words, "Arisu, I love you." The whole school falls silent. No one knows who sent this message, nor how anyone here could have known Arisu from 3 years ago. Arisu remembers Apollo and how she always said, "I love you" at the end of her streams, though it never felt meant for him. This time, it feels real. He wonders why she hides. He walks straight to Shinobu and takes her hand, asking who sent the message. Shinobu blushes, says she did not see the sender's face, and insists it is not her. Yet her trembling hands and the way she reads the words make it seem as though she wishes she could say them herself. Arisu notices, but chooses not to press her. He tells her he does not come to question her, but to say she does well, and the whole school loves her broadcast. Shinobu hugs him once more. Of the 4 girls, she alone openly shows her gratitude to Arisu. The sports festival comes to an end. Lemon is finally free of her duties. Arisu runs across the grounds. At that moment, Apollo's stream goes live, and a message appears asking someone to come to the broadcasting room. Arisu goes there. As to outside the door rests a cup tied to a string phone. From the other end, Apollo's voice calls to him. He asks why she summons him and why she suddenly confesses. Apollo says she is tired. 3 years ago, she left him without a word, and when she sees him again, she cannot hold back her feelings. She wants to tell him how much she likes him, but fear keeps her silent, and now she is weary of hiding. Arisu asks why she does not show her face. Apollo answers in a way he does not expect. She says that is the very reason she has called him here.
And that is it for today. If you enjoyed this recap, Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and feel free to write whatever you want in the comments section. Thank you for watching.